The vast emptiness of space stretched out before the Zarkonian exploration vessel, its sleek purple hull gliding silently through the star-speckled void. Captain Selthor stood on the bridge, his 4 eyes scanning the holographic displays surrounding him. The ship had been searching this sector for weeks, looking for valuable resources or interesting artifacts to bring back to the Zarkonian Empire. "Captain, we're picking up an anomaly," chirped Sensor Officer Vix. Her tentacles danced over the control panel as she zoomed in on a distant object. It appears to be a derelict ship of unknown origin. Zelthor's antennae twitched with excitement. "Finally, something interesting. Helm, take us closer. Let's see what we found." As the Zarkonian ship approached, the mysterious object grew larger on their screens. It was massive, easily 10 times the size of their own vessel. Its hull was scarred and pitted, bearing the marks of ancient battles and countless years drifting through space. "Scans complete, Captain," Vix reported. "The ship appears to be of human origin." A hush fell over the bridge. The humans were little more than a legend now, a species that had vanished from the galactic stage centuries ago. Some said they had gone extinct, while others believed they had simply retreated to some unknown corner of the universe. "Humans? Impossible!" exclaimed Science Officer Zyle, his scales shimmering with disbelief. "Their civilization collapsed long ago. This must be a mistake." Zelthor leaned forward, his eyes narrowing as he studied the ancient warship. "No mistake, Zel. Look at those lines, that design. It matches the old archives perfectly. We've stumbled upon a genuine relic of human history." The crew murmured in excitement and apprehension. Humans were known for their unpredictability and their inexplicable ability to overcome seemingly insurmountable odds. Even after all this time, the mere mention of them sent a shiver through the more superstitious members of the crew. "It's just a hunk of metal now," Zyle scoffed, trying to hide his unease. "Whatever fearsome reputation the humans once had, this ship is nothing but space junk." Zelthor shot him a warning glance. "Let's not be hasty in our judgments, Zyle. Humans were known for their ingenuity. We should approach with caution." The captain ordered a full scan of the derelict vessel. As the results came in, the Zarkonians found themselves both impressed and amused by what they discovered. "Look at these weapon systems," Vix said, her voice tinged with derision. "Primitive projectile launchers and basic energy weapons. Our shields would shrug them off like pebbles." Zil chimed in, his earlier apprehension replaced by scientific curiosity. "And their propulsion system. It's based on simple nuclear fusion. How quaint. It's a wonder they ever managed interstellar travel at all." As the crew continued to analyze the human warship, their initial awe gave way to a sense of superiority. They laughed at the outdated technology, marveling at how such a primitive species had once been considered a force to be reckoned with. "Well, gentlemen," Zelthor announced, "it seems we've discovered quite the museum piece. Prepare a tractor beam. We're taking this relic back to Zarkon Prime. The Imperial Museum will be thrilled to have a genuine human warship on display." As the Zarkonians began the process of securing the massive human vessel, none of them noticed the faint power fluctuations deep within its hull. Buried beneath layers of dormant systems, something stirred. A fail-safe protocol programmed by long-dead human engineers, waiting for the right moment to awaken. The alien crew, confident in their technological superiority, remained blissfully unaware of the sleeping giant they were about to tow home. They had no idea that their laughter and mockery would soon turn to fear and disbelief when the true power of human ingenuity revealed itself. As the tractor beam engaged and the massive warship began to move for the first time in centuries, Captain Selthor allowed himself a moment of pride. This discovery would cement his place in Zarkonian history. Little did he know that he was about to become a part of a much greater story, one that would remind the galaxy why humans had once been both respected and feared. The journey back to Zarkon Prime began, the alien ship pulling its ancient prize through the stars. And deep within the human warship, systems long dormant began to slowly, quietly come to life, guided by protocols and safeguards put in place by those who had always prepared for the worst while hoping for the best. The stage was set. The Relic was on the move, and the galaxy was about to receive a stark reminder of why one should never underestimate humanity. Deep within the bowels of Zarkon Prime's most secure detention facility, a lone human sat in his cell. Jack Harper, once a proud captain in Earth's space fleet, now spent his days in quiet contemplation, his spirit unbroken despite years of captivity. The cell was small but clean, a testament to the Zarkonians' strange mix of cruelty and civility. They had captured Jack during a skirmish in a distant star system, more interested in studying him than in the outdated scout ship he'd been piloting. Jack's days followed a monotonous routine: exercise, meditation, and endless questioning from his captors. The Zarkonians were fascinated by humans, a species they thought long extinct. Jack played along, revealing little of true importance, always watching for an opportunity that never seemed to come. On this day, however, something was different. The guards seemed excited, chittering amongst themselves more than usual. Jack's keen ears, still sharp despite his age, picked up fragments of their conversation. Human ship. Ancient weapon. Bringing it here. Jack's heart raced. A human ship. Here. It seemed impossible, but hope flickered in his chest for the first time in years. Later that day, during his allotted exercise time in the small yard, Jack overheard more. Two guards were gossiping, unaware that their prisoner could understand much of their language. "Can you believe it?" One guard said. "A real human warship. They say it's massive." The other guard laughed. "And completely harmless. Nothing but an oversized paperweight now." Jack kept his face neutral, but his mind was racing. A warship. Not just any ship, but a warship. The possibilities were staggering. As the days passed, Jack gathered more information. The ship was being brought to the capital for study and display. It was old, yes, but largely intact. The Zarkonians found it amusing, a relic of a bygone era. But Jack knew better. He recognized the description from old war stories, tales passed down through generations of spacefarers. If it was the ship he thought it was, the Zarkonians had no idea what they were dealing with. In his cell at night, Jack began to plan. He had been patient for years, learning the facility's rhythms, the guards' habits, the small weaknesses in their security. Now he had a purpose, a goal that energized him and sharpened his focus. He started small. During exercise time, he would pick up tiny bits of metal, a loose screw here, a broken piece of machinery there. In his cell, he carefully bent and shaped these pieces, forming crude but effective tools. Jack also began asking questions about the ship, playing the part of a curious old man happy to reminisce about his species' past glory. The guards, amused by his apparent harmlessness, often indulged him. Oh yes, one guard told him, "They're bringing it to the Grand Museum next week. It'll be the talk of the capital." Jack nodded, smiling serenely while his mind raced. Next week. He had to be ready. As the day approached, Jack put his plan into motion. He had mapped out every corridor, every security checkpoint between his cell and the spaceport. He knew the guard rotations, the blind spots in their surveillance. The night before the ship was due to arrive, Jack made his move. Using his homemade tools, he quietly picked the lock on his cell. The door slid open silently, and for the first time in years, Jack stepped into the corridor as a free man. His heart pounded as he navigated the facility, using all the skills and knowledge he'd accumulated over years of captivity. He moved like a shadow, evading guards and security systems with a mixture of stealth and well-timed distractions. As he neared the exit, an alarm blared. They had discovered his absence. Jack broke into a run, all pretense of stealth abandoned. He burst out of the detention facility into the alien night, his legs pumping hard as he raced towards the spaceport. Behind him, he could hear the shouts of guards and the wail of sirens. But ahead, silhouetted against the starry sky, he saw it, the massive bulk of a human warship, dormant but full of potential. As he ran, memories of old military briefings flashed through Jack's mind. If he was right, if this truly was the ship he thought it was, then the Zarkonians had made a grave mistake. They thought they had captured a relic, a museum piece. What they had actually found was one of humanity's greatest weapons, a ship designed to operate for centuries, even millennia, without support. A ship that could turn the tide of a war. Jack grinned as he ran, hope and determination fueling every step. He was no longer a prisoner, no longer a relic himself. He was a man on a mission, racing towards a future where humanity would once again take its place among the stars. The human warship loomed closer, a silent guardian waiting to be awakened. And Jack Harper, the last free human in this part of the galaxy, was determined to be the one to awaken it. Jack Harper's heart pounded as he raced through the alien streets of Zarkon Prime. The cool night air rushed past him, a stark contrast to the stale atmosphere of his cell. Behind him, alarms blared and searchlights swept the area. The Zarkonians were in full pursuit. As he ran, Jack's mind raced even faster than his feet. Years of captivity had not dulled his tactical thinking. He knew he couldn't outrun the aliens forever. He needed a plan, and he needed it fast. Ahead, he spotted a busy market square. Even at this late hour, it was crowded with various alien species. Perfect. Jack dove into the throng, using the bodies and stalls as cover. He snatched a large hooded cloak from a distracted vendor and threw it over himself, blending in with the crowd. The pursuing Zarkonian guards burst into the square moments later, their eyes scanning frantically for the escaped human. Jack hunched down, mimicking the gait of an elderly alien as he shuffled through the market. "There," a guard shouted. "I see him." Jack's pulse quickened, but he forced himself to maintain his slow pace. He heard the guards pushing through the crowd behind him. Just as they were about to reach him, he suddenly straightened up and pointed in the opposite direction. The human. He went that way. Jack shouted in perfect Zarkonian, his voice disguised to sound alien. The guards, caught off guard by the shout, instinctively turned and ran in the direction Jack had pointed. He allowed himself a small smile. Sometimes, the oldest tricks were the best ones. With the immediate threat gone, Jack made his way to the edge of the market. He knew the spaceport wasn't far now. As he walked, he overheard snatches of conversation about the newly arrived human ship. It seemed like the whole city was buzzing with excitement about the ancient relic. Jack chuckled to himself. If only they knew what that ship was truly capable of. As he approached the spaceport, Jack's heart sank. The security was much tighter than he had anticipated. Zarkonian guards were everywhere, their advanced weapons at the ready. Getting past them would be nearly impossible. But Jack hadn't survived years in captivity by giving up easily. He scanned the area, looking for any weakness, any opportunity. That's when he saw it, a maintenance hatch, partially hidden behind some crates. It likely led to the underground service tunnels that ran beneath the spaceport. Jack casually made his way over to the crates, pretending to be an interested shopper at a nearby stall. When he was sure no one was looking, he slipped behind the crates and quickly opened the hatch. Without hesitation, he dropped into the darkness below. The tunnels were dim and musty, filled with pipes and conduits. Jack moved as quickly as he dared, knowing that every second counted. He had studied the layout of Zarkonian buildings during his captivity, and he was betting that these tunnels followed a similar pattern. His gamble paid off. After several tense minutes of navigating the maze-like passages, Jack found himself directly beneath the main hangar. He could hear the muffled sounds of activity above him. The human warship had to be up there. Jack searched for a way up and found a maintenance ladder leading to a hatch in the ceiling. This was it. Once he opened that hatch, there would be no turning back. He took a deep breath, steadying his nerves. With a grunt of effort, Jack pushed open the hatch and hauled himself up into the hangar. For a moment, he was blinded by the bright lights. As his eyes adjusted, he saw it. The massive bulk of the human warship towered over everything else in the hangar. It was even more impressive up close. Despite its age, the ship's hull gleamed under the hangar lights. Jack could see the puzzled Zarkonian scientists swarming around it, trying to understand its secrets. But Jack knew those secrets. He knew exactly how to wake this sleeping giant. Keeping low, Jack made his way towards the ship. He used the confusion and excitement surrounding the new arrival to his advantage, slipping past distracted guards and scientists. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, Jack reached the ship. He placed his hand on its cool metal surface, feeling a connection to his long-lost home. "Don't worry, old girl," he whispered. "We'll have you up and running in no time." Just as Jack was about to start looking for an entry point, a shout rang out across the hangar. "The human prisoner. He's here." Jack's head snapped up. Across the hangar, a group of guards was pointing directly at him. His cover was blown. Without hesitation, Jack broke into a run, sprinting along the length of the ship. He could hear the guards giving chase, their heavy footsteps echoing through the hangar. As he ran, Jack's eyes darted back and forth, searching desperately for a way into the ship. That's when he saw it, a small maintenance hatch, almost invisible against the ship's hull. With the guards closing in, Jack reached the hatch. His hands flew over the ancient but familiar controls. Would they still work after all this time? As the first guard's hand reached for his shoulder, there was a soft hiss. The hatch slid open. Without looking back, Jack dove inside the ship. The hatch slid shut behind him, sealing him off from his pursuers. For a moment, Jack lay on the floor, catching his breath. Then he laughed, a sound of pure joy and relief. He had done it. He was inside the ship. Now, the real work could begin. Jack Harper stood in the dim corridor of the ancient human warship, his heart racing with excitement and apprehension. The air inside was stale, untouched for centuries, but to Jack, it smelled like home. He moved quickly through the ship, his feet remembering paths he had never walked. Years of studying old schematics during his captivity were paying off. Jack knew this ship, the SSV Prometheus, was more than just a relic. It was humanity's greatest achievement, a warship designed to operate for millennia without support. As he approached the bridge, Jack heard the muffled sounds of the Zarkonians outside, trying to breach the hull. He didn't have much time. The bridge was dark and silent when Jack entered. Dust covered every surface, a testament to the ship's long sleep. Jack made his way to the central console, brushing away years of neglect with a reverent hand. "Okay, old girl," he muttered, "let's see if you still remember how to dance." Jack's fingers flew over the ancient controls, inputting codes and sequences he had memorized long ago. For a heart-stopping moment, nothing happened. Then, with a low hum that quickly grew in intensity, the ship began to wake up. Lights flickered to life across the bridge. Displays lit up, scrolling through startup diagnostics. Jack laughed out loud, a sound of pure joy echoing through the empty ship. Outside, the Zarkonians were in a panic. The harmless relic they had mocked was coming to life before their eyes. Alarms blared across the spaceport as the alien scientists scrambled to understand what was happening. Back on the bridge, Jack was in his element. The ship's systems were responding to his commands, recognizing him as a human user. He quickly brought up the ship's status reports, assessing what was still functional after centuries of dormancy. To his amazement and relief, most systems were operational. The Prometheus had been built to last, its self-repair systems working tirelessly even as it drifted through space. Weapons, shields, engines, all were coming online, ready to serve once more. Jack allowed himself a moment of pride for his ancestors' ingenuity. Then he focused on the task at hand. He needed to get the ship out of the hangar and into open space. The main view screen flickered to life, showing the chaos in the hangar. Zarkonian guards were positioning heavy weapons, preparing to disable the ship if necessary. Jack knew he had to act fast. He activated the ship's external speakers. "This is Captain Jack Harper of the SSV Prometheus. His voice boomed across the hangar. "I am taking control of this vessel. Any attempt to interfere will be met with force." The Zarkonians hesitated, unused to such boldness from what they considered an inferior species. Jack used their moment of confusion to his advantage. With a series of quick commands, he powered up the Prometheus's anti-gravity systems. The massive ship began to lift off the hangar floor, the metal groaning as it moved for the first time in centuries. Panic erupted among the aliens. Some fled, while others opened fire on the rising ship. Their weapons, however, were ineffective against the Prometheus's advanced shields. Jack grinned as he saw the fear in the aliens' eyes. It was time to show them what human technology could really do. He engaged the ship's point defense systems. Small, precise energy beams lanced out, destroying the Zarkonians' weapons without harming the aliens themselves. It was a display of power and precision that left the hangar in stunned silence. With the immediate threat neutralized, Jack turned his attention to their escape. The hangar doors were sealed, but they posed no obstacle for the Prometheus. A single shot from the ship's main cannon reduced the massive doors to molten slag. As alarms blared and reinforcements rushed towards the spaceport, the SSV Prometheus rose majestically into the alien sky. Jack felt a surge of emotion as he guided the ship higher and higher, breaking free of Zarkon Prime's atmosphere. For the first time in years, he was free. And he wasn't alone. He had with him humanity's greatest warship, a vessel that represented the pinnacle of human achievement and ingenuity. As the Prometheus accelerated away from the planet, easily outpacing the few Zarkonian ships that tried to give chase, Jack allowed himself to relax slightly. They had done it. They had escaped. But this was just the beginning. Jack knew that the galaxy was a very different place from when the Prometheus was built. Humanity was thought to be extinct, and their enemies had grown complacent. It was time to remind the galaxy why humans had once been both respected and feared. It was time to find out what had happened to Earth, to see if there were other human survivors out there. As the stars stretched into lines of light around the ship, Jack set course for deep space. The SSV Prometheus, once mocked as a relic, was now the most powerful ship in this sector of the galaxy. And its human captain was ready to change the course of galactic history. The SSV Prometheus thundered through space, its ancient engines roaring to life with a power that defied its age. Inside the bridge, Captain Jack Harper worked feverishly at the controls, his fingers dancing across holographic displays as he reacquainted himself with the ship's systems. Alarms blared as the ship's sensors detected multiple contacts closing in fast. The Zarkonians had scrambled their fleet, determined not to let their prized Relic escape. "Let's see what you can do, old girl," Jack muttered, a grin spreading across his face. He brought the ship around in a tight turn that would have torn a lesser vessel apart. The Prometheus responded beautifully, its inertial dampeners allowing for maneuvers that seemed to defy the laws of physics. The pursuing Zarkonian ships opened fire, their energy weapons lancing out across space. Jack watched calmly as the shots approached, then smiled as they splashed harmlessly against the Prometheus's shields. "My turn," he said, activating the weapon systems. The Prometheus's main cannon, dormant for centuries, hummed to life. A beam of pure energy erupted from the ship, cutting through space and slicing a Zarkonian cruiser in half as if it were made of paper. The alien fleet faltered, clearly shocked by the display of power. They had expected an easy capture of a derelict ship. Instead, they found themselves facing a warship of unimaginable strength. Jack used their moment of hesitation to his advantage. He pushed the Prometheus to its limits, weaving through the enemy formation with a grace that belied the ship's massive size. With each pass, the human vessel unleashed devastation upon the Zarkonian fleet. Inside the ship, Jack marveled at the advanced systems at his disposal. The Prometheus was more than just a warship. It was a masterpiece of human engineering. Its neural interface allowed Jack to control multiple systems simultaneously, giving him an edge that the Zarkonians couldn't match. As the battle raged on, Jack discovered more of the ship's hidden capabilities. Swarms of autonomous drones deployed from hidden bays, overwhelming the enemy's defenses. Adaptive shielding analyzed incoming fire and adjusted in real time, rendering the Zarkonian weapons increasingly ineffective. But the real surprise came when Jack activated the ship's AI core. A holographic figure materialized on the bridge, a representation of the ship's artificial intelligence. "Captain," the AI spoke, its voice calm and assured. "I am ARIA, the Advanced Reconnaissance and Interstellar Assistant. It's a pleasure to finally meet a human crew member after all this time." Jack's eyes widened. An eye of this complexity was beyond anything he had expected. "ARIA, I could use some help here," he said, gesturing to the battle raging outside. "Of course, Captain," ARIA replied. "I've analyzed the enemy fleet's capabilities. Shall we show them what human ingenuity truly means?" With ARIA's assistance, the Prometheus's performance reached new heights. The AI predicted enemy movements with uncanny accuracy, allowing Jack to stay one step ahead. Together, they orchestrated a symphony of destruction that left the Zarkonian fleet in ruins. As the last enemy ship turned tail and fled, Jack allowed himself a moment to catch his breath. The bridge was silent save for the soft hum of machinery. "ARIA," Jack said, breaking the silence. "What happened to Earth, to humanity?" The eye was quiet for a moment, its holographic form flickering slightly. "I'm afraid my databanks are incomplete, Captain. The Prometheus was placed in standby mode centuries ago, during a time of great turmoil. My last records indicate that humanity was facing a dire threat, but the nature of that threat is unclear." Jack nodded, a mix of emotions washing over him. There was still hope then. Humanity might still exist out there, somewhere among the stars. "Captain," ARIA continued, "I'm detecting the encrypted subspace beacon. It appears to be of human origin, but it's extremely weak. It may be a distress signal or a navigation marker." Jack's heart raced. A human signal. After all this time, it couldn't be a coincidence. "Can you trace it, ARIA?" "Affirmative, Captain. The signal originates from a system approximately 50 light-years from our current position." Jack didn't hesitate. "Set a course, maximum speed. It's time we find out what happened to our people." As the Prometheus's engines powered up, preparing for the jump to faster-than-light travel, Jack looked out at the stars. For the first time in years, he felt a sense of purpose, of hope. The ship that the Zarkonians had laughed at as a relic had proven to be humanity's greatest weapon. And now, it might just be the key to rediscovering their lost civilization. With a flash of light, the SSV Prometheus vanished into FTL, leaving behind a thoroughly humbled Zarkonian empire and a galaxy that was about to remember why humans had once been a force to be reckoned with. The relic had roared, and the echo of its battle cry would soon be heard across the stars. The SSV Prometheus dropped out of FTL with a flash of light, its massive form materializing in a system that had long been forgotten by the galaxy at large. Captain Jack Harper stood on the bridge, his eyes fixed on the main view screen as ARIA, the ship's AI, analyzed their surroundings. "Captain," ARIA's calm voice broke the silence. "I've located the source of the human signal. It's coming from the third planet in this system." Jack nodded, his heart racing with anticipation. Could there really be other humans out here? As the Prometheus approached the planet, however, his hope turned to dread. The planet was surrounded by a massive fleet of ships, their designs unlike anything Jack had ever seen. "ARIA, what are we looking at?" Jack asked, his voice tense. "Unknown, Captain. These ships don't match any known designs in my database. However, they appear to be in a defensive formation around the planet." Before Jack could respond, the comm system crackled to life. A deep, rumbling voice filled the bridge. "Unidentified vessel, you have entered restricted space. Identify yourself, or be destroyed." Jack took a deep breath. This was it. "This is Captain Jack Harper of the SSV Prometheus, a ship of human origin. We detected a human signal from this planet. We mean no harm and request permission to investigate." There was a long pause. Then, unexpectedly, the voice returned, this time with a note of disbelief. "Humans? Impossible. The humans were wiped out centuries ago by the Void Swarm." Jack's blood ran cold. Wiped out? The Void Swarm? Before he could process this information, Ari's urgent voice cut through his thoughts. "Captain, multiple hostile ships detected. They're on an intercept course." The view screen lit up with dozens of new contacts. These ships were different from the defensive fleet. They were pitch black, their forms seeming to absorb light rather than reflect it. "It's a Void Swarm attack force," the alien voice shouted over the comm. "Human vessel, if you truly are what you claim, we could use your help. Our protectorate has guarded this planet for generations, keeping the last human colony safe from the swarm. But we cannot hold out much longer." Jack's mind reeled from the revelations, but years of military training kicked in. Battle stations. Let's show these void creatures why they should have finished the job the first time. The Prometheus roared to life, its ancient weapons systems powering up. Jack maneuvered the massive ship into formation with the alien protectorate fleet, facing down the oncoming Void Swarm. The battle that ensued was like nothing Jack had ever experienced. The Void Swarm ships moved with unnatural speed and coordination, their weapons capable of draining shields and corroding hull plating on contact. But the Prometheus was more than a match for them. Its advanced targeting systems allowed it to track and engage multiple swarm ships simultaneously. Beams of energy lanced out from the human vessel, cutting through the Void ships with devastating effect. The Protectorate fleet, emboldened by the Prometheus's arrival, fought with renewed vigor. Jack coordinated with their commanders, using tactics that had been lost to the galaxy for centuries. Deploy the drone swarms, Jack ordered as a particularly large void ship approached. Hundreds of small, autonomous drones poured out of the Prometheus, surrounding the enemy vessel and overwhelming its defenses with a barrage of precise strikes. As the battle raged on, Jack noticed something strange. The void ships seemed to be focusing most of their attacks on the Prometheus. "They're afraid of us," he realized aloud. "Affirmative, Captain," Araya confirmed. "The Void Swarm appears to recognize our capabilities as a significant threat. They are prioritizing our destruction over their original objective." Jack grinned. "Then let's give them something to really be afraid of." Araya, charge the main cannon. Let's show them what this relic can really do. The Prometheus's main cannon, a weapon of almost mythical power, began to hum with energy. The sound grew to a deafening roar as unimaginable amounts of power were channeled into a single point. "Fire!" Jack shouted. A beam of pure destruction erupted from the Prometheus, cutting a swath through the Void Swarm fleet. Dozens of enemy ships simply ceased to exist, vaporized by the intensity of the blast. The remaining Void ships, faced with a power they couldn't comprehend, began to retreat. The Protectorate fleet cheered as they watched their ancient enemy flee. As the last Void ship disappeared into the darkness of space, a stunned silence fell over the battlefield. The comm system crackled to life once more. "Human vessel," the alien voice said, now filled with awe and gratitude. "You have saved us all. The legends of human prowess in battle clearly did not do your kind justice. Please, come to our world. There are some people here who have waited a very long time to meet you." Jack looked out at the planet below, his heart filled with a mix of emotions. Somewhere down there were the last remnants of humanity, preserved against all odds. And now, with the Prometheus, they had the power to reclaim their place in the galaxy. "Aria," Jack said softly, "set a course for the planet. It's time to go home." As the Prometheus descended towards the human colony, Jack couldn't help but smile. The galaxy had forgotten the power of humanity, but now they had given it one hell of a reminder. The relic had not just roared. It had changed the course of galactic history. The SSV Prometheus descended through the atmosphere of the alien world, its massive form casting a shadow over the landscape below. Captain Jack Harper stood on the bridge, his heart pounding with anticipation. After centuries of isolation, humanity was about to reunite with its lost children. As the ship touched down on a vast landing pad, Jack saw a crowd gathering. Thousands of beings, human and alien alike, had come to witness this historic moment. Aria's voice broke through his thoughts. "Captain, I'm detecting approximately 50,000 human life signs on this planet, along with various alien species. The humans appear to have maintained a surprisingly pure genetic line, despite their isolation." Jack nodded, taking a deep breath. "Well, Aria, let's not keep them waiting." The main hatch of the Prometheus opened with a hiss, and Jack stepped out into the alien sunlight. A hush fell over the crowd as they saw him. The first new human they had seen in generations. An elderly man stepped forward from the crowd, his eyes wide with disbelief. "I am Elder Thomas, leader of the human enclave. Are you really from Earth?" Jack shook his head. "Not exactly. I was a prisoner of the Zarkonians. But this ship," he gestured to the Prometheus, "this ship is from Earth. And with it, we can find our way home." A murmur of excitement rippled through the crowd. Elder Thomas's eyes filled with tears. "We've waited so long," he said, his voice choked with emotion. "Our ancestors always believed that Earth would come for us one day." As Jack began to explain his story, a tall, reptilian alien approached. "I am Commander Zexalor of the Protectorate," he said, bowing slightly. "Your arrival has changed everything, Captain Harper. The Void Swarm has been the scourge of this galaxy for millennia. No one could stand against them, until today." Jack nodded gravely. "The Void Swarm, what exactly are they? And what happened to Earth?" Elder Thomas and Commander Zexalor exchanged glances. It was the alien who spoke. "The Void Swarm is a hive-mind entity that consumes entire civilizations. They appeared suddenly, thousands of years ago, and began devouring world after world. Earth fought bravely." Elder Thomas continued, his voice soft. "Our history tells us that Earth sent out colony ships to preserve our species. But in the end, the swarm was too powerful. Earth fell, and the location of our homeworld was lost to us." Jack felt a wave of grief wash over him. Earth gone. It seemed impossible. But then he looked at the Prometheus, at the crowd of humans and aliens working together, and he felt a spark of hope. "Maybe Earth is gone," Jack said, his voice growing stronger. "But humanity isn't. We're still here, and now we have the power to fight back." He turned to Commander Zexalor. "You said the Void Swarm has been unstoppable. Well, they haven't faced the full might of human ingenuity yet. The Prometheus isn't just a warship. It's a mobile factory, capable of producing more ships and weapons. With your help, we can build a fleet to rival the swarm." The alien commander's eyes widened. "A fleet of ships like the Prometheus. That could change everything." Jack nodded, then addressed the crowd. "I know this is sudden. I know you've built lives here, but I'm offering you a chance to reclaim our destiny among the stars. To find other human colonies that might have survived. To avenge Earth and ensure that no other world suffers its fate." A cheer went up from the humans in the crowd. Even the aliens seemed moved by Jack's words. Elder Thomas stepped forward. "Captain Harper, we may have been stranded here for generations, but we've never forgotten who we are. We're humans. We explore. We innovate. We persevere. If you're offering us a chance to return to the stars, to make a difference in this galaxy, well, I think I speak for all of us when I say, when do we start?" Jack grinned, feeling a swell of pride in his species. "We start now, Aria." He called out, and the AI's holographic form appeared beside him, drawing gasps from the crowd. "Begin production of our new fleet. It's time to remind this galaxy why humans were once the most feared and respected species in the universe." As the Prometheus's systems hummed to life, beginning the process of constructing a new armada. Jack looked out at the sea of faces before him. Humans and aliens, united in purpose. The Void Swarm had thought they had exterminated humanity. They were about to learn how wrong they were. The galaxy had forgotten the power of humanity. But now, humanity was back. And this time, they weren't just exploring the stars. They were going to save them.